What you see on the screen is station 1BCG. Now, I don't know how many of you realize that that's what the set looks like. Actually, it was put together, it was Cronkite's, one of the early members as well. They were all good friends. Put this station together. This is the one that did the first AM transatlantic transmission. What you're looking at is the transmitter side of the station. This is the receiver side of the station. Now, many of you may know that they sent Paul Godley on a ship to Scotland, basically to see if he could hear the signal. And basically, on December 11th, 1912, they were able to receive the signal, and he did get nice and clear signals from this station. And as any ham knows, you always put the ham setup during lousy weather, and it always works better, right? When they were putting this thing up, it was a sleet, snow, and storm out in Connecticut. Well, part of the thing is the firemen were asked to help come over with the ladder truck to put the one mast up. Well, when they got there, they noticed all these guys shivering and everything else. They gave them their coats, their boots, and everything else to stay warm while they were doing putting up the antenna system for the station. As luck would have it, in the middle of putting up the station, wasn't there a fire? So they sent a message, would you please bring the boots and jackets back because we're in the process of fighting a fire. So that all happened in the middle of putting this up together. But anyway, the first amateur radio transmission across the Atlantic. My first meeting in the Antique Wireless Association, I walked up and sat down at lunch not knowing who I was sitting with. The gentleman across the table from me was Paul Godley. He came as our guest to give a presentation about his efforts in this whole activity. So I got to meet him. This was something like 40 years ago. The receiver that you see on there is the Paragon RA-10. These receivers were some of the best that were made during that period of time, and that's why they used it here. Paul Godley had a super regenerative set that was made by Armstrong, sitting over in Scotland as the receiver. As we go along in the development, and one of the last things that Armstrong worked on was the FM. This is the power intermediate output and the output of the FM experimental station that was in the Empire State Building. Now, he was allowed to go up, set it up, and this was when he and Sarnoff were still somewhat friends. That changed during the whole activity when he had this set up there during its test, and he was asked to remove it. But again, one of the Radio Club of America's members was at the receiving end, and they were all very close friends. So Armstrong's friend was in the Hamptons receiving it, was Hampton. Now, one of the other things is, as you advance on, was the transistors, the transition from tubes to transistors. A lot of people think that the Regency TR1, a small transistor radio, that basically had the components made by Sony, and they brought it out in the Christmas of 1954. But Bell Labs actually made the first transistor radio as an experiment, because as they produced transistors, one of the managers basically at Bell Labs says, what are you going to do with it? So they said, let's try making a radio. So they took basically a case of a tube radio, took the guts out and replaced it with transistors. And that transistor radio actually is the first transistor radio ever made. That's in our museum, but it's right next door, so you can see it today. This is the first picture I could find of the first mobile phone. I don't know how you call ahead to get the service. And we do not have that in our museum yet. But Martin Cooper sits right in front of me. And the tribute to Martin Cooper really is the first handheld cell phone. When he was able to put this phone together and walk in New York City and make a call. And I'm sure later Martin can give you the whole story. And the thing is, as we progressed, and I remember going from this to the bag phone, and then the really cute one was the StarTech. That was the little baby, right?
Yes.
We have one of those over there. We also have a brick, not quite as nice as that one sitting over there as well. And then you end up, what is the latest technology that's out there right now?
Droid.
Like I said, I'm an R&D, so I get everything new. That is a Spartan Bluebird radio, they refer to it. Mirror blue glass, chrome strips on the front. You're saying, why am I showing you that? Well, that is going to be the front of our new museum. Our new museum that we're working on right now is going to be a complex. This will be the museum building, which in about 2 years will start the construction. That is currently a large antique shop that's being converted over to our museum. But you can see the front of it will be that Bluebird radio, and you'll walk right through the dial into the museum. So we figured, if nothing else, driving down the road, there's going to be a lot of people going, what the devil is that? But it'll be an eye catcher. This last August, we dedicated our library and media center to Max Budmer, who is from Switzerland. Now, Max worked for Bell Labs, and Max developed the small, compact traveling wave tube that's in the box that you see right there. The 2 models of the Telstar satellites were the first ones to actually relay television signals from US to Europe. And Max was the developer, and he is so dedicated to making sure that we have the best research that he has funded the development of our library. Now here's a quiz. I always like to put quizzes in. Does anybody really know what that picture is? We know what it is. Does anybody recognize it? I'm sure your wives would love to decorate your bathroom with the Rocky Point antennas on the top. That's Armstrong's bathroom in New York City. Felicia and I thank you for the opportunity to give you a little information and hopefully give you a little of your history. Both organizations basically have the same motto, the spirit of good fellowship and free exchange of ideas among all radio enthusiasts. Thank you.